Ayo, so very much recently I was able to farm enough fragments and level up my Sol Janus skill to level 20, which enables me now to put down 3 of these sexy schmexy dawn orbs. If I can get the last one out, here we go. And to be honest, this opens up a huge array of grinding options for me. And not only that, I also have a ton of maps available to me that are within level range where I can grind. So this episode is gonna be me figuring out where I should finish up the, remaining experience until I'm welcomed into Talahad, right? That's gonna be at 290. We are 288 right now, which means that I get the best EXP when grinding at mobs which are level 287, 288 and 289. So that means in Casion there are basically 10 maps for me where I can efficiently grind, right? Maps that have enough mobs and maps that are within level range. And since there are 10 maps, we're gonna do the most YouTuber thing ever, and we're gonna put them into a tier list and figure out where we're gonna grind. Alright, let's start out with Enfolding Forest 3. As you can see here, this was my previous rotation back when I grinded in this map using Dusk. And I just want to use this as the opening example here because I do want to use Dawn for a reason, and that reason being I don't want to rotate every, 55 seconds to replace Fountain. Nope, I want to grind even lazier. And you can say, man, that Nightwalker is talking about lazy farming, but hold on a minute. With Dawn at level 20, I will show you guys a lot of classes can grind extremely lazily. So, switching over to the view where I actually have put in the Dawns, you can see that I'm not really full clearing the map with these skills, which is quite the problem. So let's start off ranking these. I would say, since I'm not clearing the entire map with just these skills, Enfolding Forest 3 goes into the B tier. What I could do is just, stand wherever in the map and just hit Shadow Bite, but that is not the purpose of this discussion here. So let's just go to the next map. Next up we have Among Tainted Trees 1, which, dude, this map could be really nice, but if I were to zoom in right here, you see that in my configuration, this mob right here, as well as this guy right here, isn't able to be just, one shot by these 4 skills. So Among Tainted Trees 1, you are also in B tier. Then next up we have Among Tainted Trees 2, which is a very much interesting map, and this kinda looks like it wouldn't be working at all. But again, if you zoom in, and this is really nice with Maple maps where you can just enable the platform height or the platform level and the mob hitbox, and I want to be placing my Dawn bubbles on platform height for these tests, because in the real world scenario where I will be grinding, I don't want to have, the case where I have a fiddly positioning to figure out every time I go on do the rotation. No, I'll just stick to placing the bubbles whenever I'm landed or like on the ground, right? Grounded, that's what I'm going for, right? And here you can see, even though I can place this bubble on the ground right here and it doesn't quite reach the platform, the mob hitbox itself extends below the platform, and we are able to, just clear this map fine, at least the left part of it, because on the right side we have a couple of strays here that are not able to be caught. And yeah, that's pretty bad. Honorable mention though, this map has really high burning in EU, and by really high I mean like 50 plus, which is kind of nice. But I could be grinding here if I wanted to put in a little bit of extra effort, right? But I don't I don't want to. So yeah, unfortunately this also goes into the B tier. Then we have Among Tainted Trees number 3, and I feel like this is a really classic map which a lot of people have grinded in the past, especially when I first made it to Castion and it was just checking out where people grind. A lot of people grinded in this map, and you know, for a good reason, because here we have the same situation happening. You can just place Dawn on the ground, you quadruplet with Dawn, and it's just a super nice situation. This is a really nice map. You can see why, and I think that's just it. We have our first map that goes into the A tier where we can just full clear. Also, if we look at the portal situation here, we have one portal on the very left side, one portal on the very right side to return. So the loot rotation would be from Fountain, place Dawn, place Dawn, place Dawn. The Vug pad just sucks everything up. Although I'm not 100% sure if the Vug pad actually sucks up the meso from up here. Let me just test that. Alright, so here we are. Dude, 50% burning. Ay, that's really nice. Oh no, but what's not really nice is that the Vug pad doesn't reach these mesos here. Which, yeah, I think that would be the little bit of extra that is needed to reach the S tier in this list. Alright, so next up we have the Breathtaking Cave number 2, and you can see, yes, this is a full clear with just these skills, absolutely amazing. Although what I don't really like about this map is the portal situation right here, where you can only use these portals vertically, and honestly that's of no use. So it's nice that you can full clear this, but not an S tier map for sure. We can do better than that. Then we have Breathtaking Cave number 3, and this one, yeah, this one's really bad. I just couldn't figure out a proper layout for this map, because, you know, here you have these two strays down here on the left side. You know, you see that this Dawn, if I would be placing that all the way on the left, you know, maybe I could hit this mob, right? But in either situation, the top platform is just unreachable. So this map is really bad with Dawn, although I did grind here with Dusk, where I just stood somewhere in the middle and, you know, pressed Shadow Bite, and then Fountain was exactly here. So nice for Dusk, but really useless for Dawn. Which means that we will put this map into the B tier. Not that great. Then next up we have Breathtaking Cave 4. And this is basically the same situation as Breathtaking Cave 2, where you can full clear the map, which is nice, but these portals are just up, down, and up, down. And I just noticed that there's an additional portal here right in the middle. Let me just check what that even does. Alright, so here we are, Breathtaking Cave 4, 30% burning, okay. And here we have the portal, let's check it out. Okay. Oh wow, that's strange. It just teleports you towards the right hand side of the map, and then you're kind of stuck here. That is interesting. And I would say because it's interesting, this map would rank higher than Breathtaking Cave 2. Alright, so Breathtaking Cave 4 takes the spot. Alright, so next up we have Sunken Ruins 2, and this map is extremely nice because, first of all, you can full clear the map with just these summons, but also you have these portals right here on the left hand side and on the right hand side, which means that you can just go from, you know, wherever you stand towards one side of the map, use the portal, and then just keep on going into the same direction until you hit your standing position. I'll elaborate on this more soon because I want to showcase this map for real, but for now, dude, this is a map that goes straight into S tier. I've grinded in this map, I've tried it out, and I think that is something quite competitive. Let's see if the last two maps can challenge this spot. Then we have Sunken Ruins 3, and this map is really garbage. Yeah, I couldn't figure out a rotation at all. So unfortunately, our B tier is now 2 rows of garbage maps. Whoops. And the very last map we're gonna be looking at today is Sunken Ruins 4, and this is a nice map. You can full clear with just these summons, and you have portals, but I gotta say, having a portal destination on the like ground floor level is not super useful, because you still need to jump up all the time, right? And if we compare that to Sunken Ruins 2, where you just have to jump left and right, it is just not as lazy, although the additional vertical movement is highly appreciated, and I think that leaves Sunken Ruins 4 at the top of A tier and not quite S tier. And here we have it. I think this would be my final ranking for the upper Carsion maps, which are of interest to me personally, of course. And with that being said, if there's high burning in any of these maps, it would always make the most sense experience-wise to go to the highest burning map. But with that being said, if I wanna go for the laziest map, it would be Sunken Ruins 2 any day of the week. And before we go to Sunken Ruins 2, I just wanted to show off, yes, among Tainted Trees, 2 has 60% burning, which is quite good. Let's hope we get some burning here. Okay, 20%. Yeah, 20% is, is good for this map in EU, right? And usually I have around 20. And that's really it. So let's check out the training rotation. So I always am right here. I climb up the rope to find the perfect positioning for my fountain, and then I go to this rope right here, place down my bubble 1, and then I look at this rope right here, or this rope, it doesn't really matter that much, place down bubble 2, take the portal, and here I don't have the perfect lineup, but I'll just, I'll somewhat place the last bubble to the left of this rope right here, and this should really be the perfect setup. Now on their own they're not attacking, but the crazy thing about Knights of Cygnus is that you have a long-lasting skill or hitbox that you can produce that you only have to press once every 25 seconds. This skill is Phalanx Charge right here, and what this skill does is it's just like a summon, but it does trigger Dawn, which is crazy nice. Other classes actually have to press a skill every 7 seconds, while the Knights of Cygnus can just press this every 25 seconds. And even though it says cooldown 30 seconds, I am wearing a cooldown head right for 4 seconds of cooldown reduction. I have the Threads of Fate equipped with the cooldown reduction setup. Let me just show that real quick, right? And of course I also have a 250 Mercedes somewhere. There we go, for the maximum cooldown reduction. So yeah, just for you to see how this will play out, I would, again, let's go through it once more. Place down Fountain. I'm also placing Greater Dark Servant here. That just allows me to teleport back to my positioning. I went over these positions, but they are all not as finicky. And then I press Phalanx Charge. And now you see it just starts clearing mobs, right? 38 mobs. Perfect, right? I think perfect. Was it 39? Anyways, this does full clear mobs. Sometimes there's a mob stuck on the left or the very much right side of the entire map, and that's also something that Phalanx Charge just helps with, because it will clear that mob. And you saw it just expired. I was a little late to the party there, and then I would just replace it, right? And yeah, I would just be chilling here all day and grinding. And I gotta say, this is quite relaxing. In the beginning, I really couldn't get used to the rhythm, right? Because I have to replace fountain every like 54 to 60 seconds, and I have to repress phalanx charge every 24 to 30 seconds. But no, actually I have to repress this skill every 24 seconds. Otherwise, you know, the dawn bubbles will stop attacking, right? And then eventually, after doing this for a couple of warps, I did get used to this. And it is quite relaxing. Also, I think as an added bonus, even if you have Sol Janus at level 30 and utilize the extended uptime, this map is still great because you can still loot with just one Vak pet, right? And how that would work is, let me just get the rune here because I don't want to be receiving the penalty. Okay, so how that would work, in any loot rotation, I would start picking up the Mezzo, of course, right? But I would start replacing the bubbles, and I would just go over here, and now I have all bubbles replaced, right? But in the very real scenario where you do this step right here on the left hand side of the map a little bit too quickly, there will be Mezzos left on the top platform and the bottom platform, these Mezzos right here. And what you can do is just do another like loot rotation, but without replacing the summons. And that's how I found is that's like my way to go about it. Now I was trying to be quick, but there weren't really a lot of Mezzos there, right? And I would just go again, pick up the remaining Mezzos, teleport back to my Greater Dark 7, and then chill, right? So this is also nice about this map. But that, honestly, that's like a really, really small extra benefit. I would say that, you know, the Vak pet looting is so nice in this map. But yeah, especially, you know, if you have to do something like this for hours and hours and hours and hours, these small things are adding up, right? Definitely adding up. And I just like to optimize my grinding, right? That's why I have a like fairly strong grinding gear setup as well, because why not, right? Ways to keep it interesting is definitely the #1 priority. Otherwise I wouldn't be grinding as much, right? And although this might seem extremely boring, I think getting to this like optimized state of grinding was interesting and keeps it interesting, at least for, you know, a while for me, right? And yeah, this was basically what this video was about. Now the remaining question is, will I push Sol Janus Dawn until level 30 to make use of that extended duration? Or not make use of it, but, you know, enable me to use it, right? And I'm undecided right now. As you can see right here, I have 490 fragments right now, and I'm still deciding, right? From level 20 to level 30, it's roughly 3.3 thousand fragments. And when I'm looking at my remaining 6 job right here with Shadow Spear and Rapid Throw, this is also roughly 3,000, a little less than 3,000 fragments. And to add to that, we also have the upcoming Mastery 3 and 4, right? So, you know, there are gains to be made damage-wise, but just Shadow Spear and Rapid Throw is roughly like 4% final damage. And Sol Janus would be, you know, lazier grinding. So I don't know if lazier grinding is worth more than 4% final damage. Right now, in this very moment, I'm leaning on yes, it is worth it. But that opinion changes constantly, which is why I haven't really pushed or leveled up anything right now, and I'm sitting on these fragments thinking, right? So yeah, as you can see, we are finishing up on the 6 minutes, and we will be hitting the 1800 mobs here, even without paying attention, right? Really, it's that easy. This map is so good, right? As you can see, sometimes I place the right bubble a little bit too far to the right side, and then we have this one stray right here. Yeah, things I still gotta optimize, right? But with that being said, I wanted to thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode next Thursday. And yeah, with that, hope you enjoyed this one. This one was a little bit special, but you know, hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody, and bye bye.